Americans held hostage, abandoned behind enemy lines. Day 68.
And welcome to Hannity. Yep, 68 long days. Our Americans, fellow Americans, their families, our allies, thousands of green card holders, all trapped behind the enemy lines of the Taliban, abandoned by your President Joe Biden. According to multiple reports, one young woman beheaded by the Taliban. Why? Because she once played for the Afghan national volleyball team. As we speak, all female athletes in the country, they're being hunted down by the Taliban. Female athletes are not allowed to exist in the new Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. Oh, the one that Joe and Jen Psaki say are so businesslike and professional. All according to Joe, right? Now, the people that you are taking off the terror watch list, Joe Biden is now allowing former Taliban leaders, taking them off the watch list and allowing them to come to America. Does he think they've changed? Do we have any indication they may have changed? I doubt they changed. And of course, Biden has simply moved on, or in his words, he's turned the page. After all, he has more important things to worry about, like reminiscing about his long train rides to Delaware. Very important matters. Take a look.
Angelo Negri was from, you remember Ange? Ange came up to me one day when they just had announced that I had flown 1 million some X number of miles on Air Force aircraft. And Ange comes up, and I'm getting in the car, and he goes, "Joey, baby, what are you?" And I thought the Secret Service was going to shoot him. I said, no, he's good, he's good. It's a true story. You know how many miles you did Amtrak? And I said, "No, Ange, I don't have any idea, pal." He said, "Let me tell you, we were at the retirement dinner." And he said, "We added it up. You averaged 100, I think it says 21 days a year. 121 days a year, 36 years, plus as vice president, boom, boom. You have traveled over 2 million miles, Joe. I don't hear any more about the Air Force."
Well, I talk about Afghanistan and the Americans he abandoned, or his disaster at the border, or begging OPEC for energy, or the disaster known as the Biden economy. Now, that bizarre, that rambling story is not even true, according to multiple media outlets and fact checkers. But that never stops Joe Biden from repeating one lie after another, in this case on 5 separate occasions. And even worse, apparently Joe Biden now believes he was vice president of the United States for, get this, 36 years.
A lot of the folks in Amtrak became my family, not a joke. I'd ride every day. I commuted every single day for 36 years as Vice President of the United States. After my wife and daughter were killed, I went home to see my family, never stopped doing that.
36 years as vice president. Okay, I think it's pretty clear to everyone watching, Joe Biden is not well. This man should not be our president. He is not mentally, cognitively strong enough, not fit to serve. And by the way, he also has blood on his hands as a result of his decision in Afghanistan, something he said he wouldn't do. And now, because of Biden's obvious decline, his radical base, they're calling all the shots. Their new Green Deal socialism is destroying the economy. His policy on energy is killing everybody. Everybody's paying more for every item we buy. Look at this. Tonight's American labor shortage is so bad, Domino's can't find drivers to deliver its pizzas. Grocery store shelves, yeah, they're going completely empty, and that's all across the country. We have cargo ships that have been anchored off the coast of California now for more time than it took them to cross the Pacific Ocean. Your Christmas presents probably are not going to arrive in time for Christmas, and you're going to have to explain to your kids why Santa was being so mean this year. Inflation is at a 30-year high. Even CNBC is forecasting this looming recession. Trillions of dollars in this new Build Back Better, new Green Deal socialism spending that will only exacerbate all of these very serious problems. Then, to make matters worse, well, Joe's about to fire thousands of teachers and nurses and emergency medical professionals and cops and soldiers and firefighters because of his rigid vaccine mandate. That will only exacerbate every problem in the economy we already have in a major way. And remember, Biden and other top Democrats, they once vowed not to import or support any kind of vaccine requirement. You want to know where vaccine hesitancy comes from? Them. because they change their mind. The CDC website changes constantly. The NIH, flip-flop Fauci, Joe Biden, all of it. They literally have created an environment where nobody believes anything they say. This might bring back memories.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory. But
perhaps the federal government should step in and issue mandates? And if not, are you putting the needs of unvaccinated people ahead of the needs of vaccinated people?
Well, I think the question here, one, that's not the role of the federal government. That is the role that institutions, private sector entities, and others may take. That certainly is appropriate. Also, local communities are going to take steps they need to take.
I don't think you'll ever see a mandating of vaccine, particularly for the general public.
We cannot require it. That's not something that we can do. Oh, all of a sudden, I guess they can do it. Is it just to score political points or divide the country for political gain? Why is there no other option, like many states and localities have adopted? Now, whether Democrats like it or not, look, the debate of vax, don't vax, you know what? We've had that debate. And for whatever reason, I don't know, millions of Americans are willing to lose their job, lose their benefits, abandon their retirement, because that's how strongly they believe in their position. Many of these people have rare conditions that forbids them from getting the vaccine. Others have natural immunity, and they believe the science of natural immunity. Like, for example, this case we're all watching in Israel. It's going to be peer-reviewed, 800,000 people close to it. And it seems natural immunity is better than the vaccine. Time will tell. Let's follow the science. The debate for them, though, for many people, is over. Their minds are made up. They're willing to lose it all, and they're locked in. That will tank our economy. We will suffer even more. And why? In order to vilify those Americans, that will not make us any safer or more secure. It's not going to end COVID-19. It's not going to stop the spread. But Democrats, they don't seem to care about it. How about a simple option like, okay, we don't want you to lose your pension. We don't want you to lose your job. We don't want to be short-staffed. How about you take a test once a week or twice a week or whatever? By the way, why don't they ever mention monoclonal antibodies or other treatments? Whether you have a breakthrough case of COVID or you're unvaccinated, it seems to be working wonders, because Joe Biden now didn't, for the first time, actually mentioned it, because it was so successfully used by Ron DeSantis in Florida. They definitely don't care, seemingly, about the economy. They made that clear yesterday in response to the current economic crisis and opposition to the new Green Deal socialism, Build Back Better. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez complained that Republicans are just upset about a changing country.
I think they are upset about a changing country. I think they are upset about the fact that we cannot build or that they cannot really have majority, they cannot be elected with a majority with just a very narrow, homogenous, classist base. And they are scared, and they are angry, and they are doing absolutely everything possible to ensure that we disenfranchise the very people and communities that have the power of changing this country for the better.
I think a lot of people are upset at the state of the economy. A lot of Americans are upset that we abandon Americans behind enemy lines. A lot of Americans are upset at the disaster at the border. A lot of Americans are upset that illegal immigrants get preferential treatment, no COVID testing, no vaccine mandates for them. I think most Americans are really upset. It costs so much more to fill up their gas tank and heat and cool their home. And, of course, the rising grocery bills and empty shelves. And virtually nobody in the media mob is blaming Joe Biden, even though he deserves it. And he reduced artificially America's oil and gas supply. And in the meantime, demand remained constant. That means the price goes way up. And you know what? It's gone way up. And he's paying Americans not to work. We have record-level spending, causing inflation to skyrocket. Now, by the way, hawking a multi-trillion-dollar socialist spending bill, basically stealing from your kids, your grandkids. Guess what that does to inflation? That'll make it worse. The mob and the media, they're not angry about any of that. Instead, they're mad that Joe Biden's messaging isn't more on point. Take a look.
So what is going on with you? Why are you so bad at politicking? Why are you so bad at politics, Democrats? when you have the winning message, when you have the Senate, and you have the Congress, and you have the White House, and you can't win with a winning message, something is wrong. Democrats, get your butts in gear and get passionate about saving this damn country. You're not doing it. You're weak. You are weak. You are weak.
I'd take a little disagreement with that winning message thing about socialism. But anyway, forget the horrible economic crisis. Joe Biden needs to sell it better? Really? Well, I guess the greedy, spoiled people of America, I guess we all just need to lower our expectations, settle for less, tell your kids at Christmas that Santa is mad at you and it's not going to be the same this year. We need to stop complaining, sit back, enjoy another dark winter under Joe Biden and Anthony Fauci.